So I got bit by the e-bike bug last September, and I didn't want to wait 4 or 5 or 6 months for a bike because I'm impatient. So I bought this. I bought it from a company called Pedal Electric, and I got it not because the specs, I got it because it was available to ship. I got exactly what I deserved. I got a really mediocre bike. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to ride. It goes 28 miles an hour when the battery's full. It goes about 26 most of the time when the battery's a little bit down. And it's fun. It's not horrible to ride. The acceleration was really pathetic. If I would take off from a dead stop, it would stutter a little bit before it got going. And it just was really uninspiring. I took it out to a Super 73 group ride, and I was totally outclassed. I could tell that the Super 73s were faster, and I could tell that they had better acceleration. I was only able to keep up with them because I have some pretty aggressive riding styles. The following week, I went out and I thought I was going to another Super 73 group ride, and instead I ended up at a group ride with a bunch of Onyxes and Surons and Dualtrons and Wolf Warriors and a whole bunch of shit that I know was way faster than me. And yeah, I got totally left behind, which I deserved because I was just ridiculously slow at 26 miles an hour. That's when I realized I needed to upgrade my bicycle. So I started speaking to people, and I spoke to a couple of people about paying someone to upgrade my bike for me. It didn't take a long time, and I realized that that was going to cost me about the same money that it would cost to buy a brand new Onyx. So rather than paying someone to upgrade this bike, I just went shopping and started looking at the options, and I did eventually buy myself a higher end bicycle, but I am now in that waiting period between when you purchase a bicycle and when you actually receive a bicycle. So, making do with this bike, and I'm thinking about things that I can do myself to upgrade the bike. And the first thing that I needed to do was I needed to upgrade the battery. I mean, not necessarily voltage-wise, but capacity. I was killing a battery in 20 miles because I was riding so aggressively and I just had that throttle pinned all the time. So I needed another battery. It was really difficult, and I was having a hard time finding a battery that was available. And I came across the guy who was selling this bike right here. Now this bike had the same exact battery that I had in that bike right there. So I went ahead and I bought this bike over here on my right side because I got a real good deal on it, and it was basically a purchase to double the battery capacity on this bike on my left. So I got myself a second battery. I did some shopping. HPC, High Powered Cycles, is the only one that I was able to find that made a bag big enough to carry a spare one of these. So there goes my charger. I got an extra one of these inside the bag, and I got one for the back, and I went about my slow bike riding. I decided to buy a new motor and speed controller. I know I could have just upgraded the battery, but since I had a second battery and I had plenty of battery capacity, I figured I would do the speed controller and the motor instead. And I bought myself a kit with a speed controller and a motor that came together. So that basically everything was just plug and play. The only, quote unquote naked wires that I actually had to deal with were the power connectors. That's it. Everything else just plugged in, no connectors needed to be changed, and everything was real easy to do. So I got myself a new speed controller and a new motor, and I got everything hooked up. The hardest part of it was that my motor came with a dented rim, and I had to re-spoke the motor into my existing rim from the bicycle. That was a bit of a hassle. That took about 3 days, well, not 3 solid days. It was 3 evenings after work. I would come home and fiddle with it. And I probably put in 3 to 4 hours worth of time spoking that wheel to that rim, and it is still far from perfect. It's acceptable. The bike doesn't vibrate and doesn't shake all over. It's straight enough. The upgrade got me into a completely different realm with this bicycle. The bicycle now has a modest thrill factor to it. And the bicycle can go a bit faster, and it can accelerate a lot faster because the speed controller. The old speed controller from this thing was this puny little 30 amp speed controller. Now the new speed controller is as deep as this one is this way. So this is the comparison. That new speed controller is like 5 times the size of this one. The bike handles a whole lot better, and I'll probably be upgrading to a 52 volt battery on it very shortly. But in the meantime, it's a more acceptable ride. The bottom line, the thing that I wanted to get to here was that people, you get these bicycles because you have this idea in your mind of how it's going to be and what it's going to be capable of doing, and then you get it and it's not necessarily capable of doing what you wanted. And then there's some frustration. But it's actually really easy to do these upgrades. So I just wanted to make a quick video here and encourage people that if you have one of these bicycles that you're not happy with, then just start doing your research and go ahead and buy a new motor, buy a new speed controller, and put them on the bike. It's really not that difficult to do. And if you have any problems, there are so many videos online, so many videos on YouTube that you can watch and just search for, and they will guide you through these things. All in all, with aside from the relacing the motor into a new rim, it probably took about 2 hours of time to have this bicycle converted and ready to ride once again. So be like Bo Jackson with Nike. Just do it.